If you're a composer and you want your music to be played by actual humans, you'll need a notation program. But there are quite a few of them out there, so which one should you choose? In this series of videos, I'll take a deep dive into the 4 leading notation programs, Finale, MuseScore, Sibelius, and Dorico, and show you their strengths and weaknesses notating complex modern music. How did I go about evaluating all these different notation programs? Well, first I did what any composer would do. I wrote a new piece. I incorporated more complex notational challenges in one piece than I could shake a stick at. And in particular, I tried to include most of the modern notation that many contemporary classical and film composers use in the 21st century. What kinds of notation? I'm talking about things like aleatoric boxes, fanned beams, non-power of 2 time signatures, complex divisi setups for strings, glissandi through stemless notes, quarter tones. You get the idea. Then I took this piece and I notated it from scratch, note by note, into each of the notation programs. I should mention that I did not use a MIDI keyboard, although all of the software that I evaluated does support that. That's because my piano skills are, shall we say, rudimentary at best, and I always personally use the computer keyboard to notate my music. Along the way, I made copious notes as to what was easy, what was difficult, and what was just downright impossible using each piece of software. I also prepared at least some parts from the score, including cues. And finally, if the software supported Note Performer, I used that to generate audio just to even the playing field. If not, I used the best available built-in sounds that came with a notation program. Finally, I tested importing and exporting music XML from every program into every other program just to see how easy it is to migrate from one piece of software to another. Why am I doing all this? Well, on August 26, 2024, all Finale users received an email stating that Make Music, the company behind Finale, was ending development of Finale. Needless to say, a lot of Finale users, and there were a lot of them since Finale had been around for 35 years, were rather upset. Some users have hundreds or even thousands of Finale scores that they've written over the course of many years, and now they all have to learn a brand new piece of software. And I was one of them. I've been using Finale since 2007, and though I'd been getting a bit frustrated with the lack of substantive updates and the many limitations in Finale, this deprecation notice was really the kick in the pants I needed to force me to switch to another program. But of course I had to figure out which I should switch to, and I thought you might learn from my struggles. Now we will be covering Finale in one of these videos just to level set, and because so many people I've spoken to still use the program even now. Now, I can't cover every notation program out there. There are a few in particular that are somewhat popular that I'll mention here, but I won't be covering in detail in a future video. LilyPond is a free, open-source notation system that operates a bit like a compiler for a programming language. You write a text file containing the sheet music in a special textual language that describes it. Then you run LilyPond from the command line, and it transforms your text file into lovely graphical notation. It works very well and supports a lot of complex notation. In fact, I used to use LilyPond before I started using Finale. But my guess is that not many of my viewers will have the patience or temperament to learn the LilyPond language and would want a graphical notation program instead. There are a couple of semi-graphical front ends to LilyPond, but they are fairly limited in functionality. Troubleshooting why your LilyPond's textual notation isn't working right can be an exercise in patience rather like debugging a computer program. In addition, playback in LilyPond consists of generating a MIDI file, and music XML import and export is fairly rudimentary at best. StaffPad is a really neat idea for a notation program. It runs on tablets only. The basic idea is that you draw with your stylus onto blank staves just as you would with a pencil onto manuscript paper, and the program automatically translates your scribbled notation into beautiful engraving. And I gather it is quite well executed. However, it doesn't support much in the way of complex modern notation, and it only works on tablets. Therefore, I felt that it wasn't really a great candidate to include in this video series, but I definitely plan to keep an eye out to see how it develops in future. Notion is a program I'm less familiar with. It supports a reasonably large set of common music notation features, including things like cross-staff beaming, and I believe it has some handwriting recognition, although not as comprehensively as StaffPad. However, it's less popular than the Big Four programs, and as far as I can tell, it doesn't support as much contemporary notation as they do. So, I've left Notion out of this comparison as well. Here's the piece that I wrote to stress test these pieces of notation software. Now, I'll just point out that I can't possibly include every single bit of difficult notation out there in a single piece. I tried to include notation that I've used or thought about using in the past that has been problematic in some notation software or other. With that being said, there are some things like odd repeat structures or out-of-flow text boxes for operas that I haven't covered. Still, I tried to cram as much as I possibly could into one short piece. Now, I will say that this is absolutely no masterpiece whatsoever. A lot of compositional decisions were made due to their notational complexity rather than actual musical coherence. In fact, I would strongly advise against a few of these notational practices, but there are valid reasons for using almost every interesting bit of contemporary notation out there in some circumstances, so I've tried to use as many as I could. So without further ado, I proudly present the aria for baritone and orchestra, Which Shall I Choose? Over the course of the next couple months, I'll be releasing a video on each piece of notation software: Sibelius, Finale, MuseScore, and Dorico. In each video, I'll try to point out some of the highlights and lowlights of each program, where it excels and where it falls short. I've done my best to learn each program thoroughly and research solutions to all my notational conundrums, but I'll also say that I am fairly new to Sibelius in particular. Please do let me know in the comments if I've missed or misrepresented anything. Finally, in the last video, I'll give you my personal recommendations based on various budget and experience levels. If you want to make sure you see all these videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you get notified when they come out. And if you find this video to be useful, please drop a like on it to help others find it too. Until next time, have a good one.